In 1979, researchers painted prison cells a specific shade of pink, and violent incidents dropped dramatically within days. Wardens called it a miracle. The story spread worldwide. Prisons across America and Europe repainted their walls. Then, the researcher who discovered it repeated his own experiment and found it didn't work at all. What happened next reveals something far more disturbing than a color that controls criminals. It reveals how little we understand about what colors are doing to us right now. Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely fascinated and, honestly, a bit unsettled to guide you through this investigation into chromatic engineering.
Okay, so let's start with this miracle that wasn't. The shade you're looking at right now is P618. You probably know it as Baker Miller Pink. Back in the late 1960s and 70s, a researcher named Alexander Schaus became totally convinced that color could physically alter our endocrine system. He actually created this exact shade himself, mixing 1 part red semi-gloss outdoor paint with 8 parts white indoor latex paint. He takes this concoction to a naval correctional facility in Seattle and somehow convinces them to paint their confinement cells with it. And those initial reports, they were wild. The Navy claimed that just 15 minutes in this room completely pacified violent inmates. They said it tranquilized their muscular system like some kind of non-chemical anesthetic.
But as you can probably guess, that narrative unraveled really fast. The Santa Clara County Jail down in California heard about this supposed miracle, so they painted a holding cell pink too. But they left inmates in there for several hours, and that extended exposure triggered a massive autonomic rebound. Instead of calming down, the inmates became incredibly agitated. I mean, they literally scratched the pink paint off the walls with their bare fingernails. Even Schaus eventually repeated his own experiments with stricter timelines and found the exact same shocking reversal.
To really put the nail in the coffin here, there was a super rigorous double-blind study done in 2014 by a Swiss psychologist named Oliver Genschau. He tested this in a maximum security penitentiary. The result? A 0% difference in biological calming between the pink cells and your standard gray cells. The original claims were basically just a psychological illusion. Think about it, locking adult male inmates in a bright pink room, a color that's culturally coded with intense feminine associations in Western societies, was acting as a psychological provocation. It wasn't soothing their biology, it was a tool of institutional humiliation, which of course just escalated their defensive stress. But here's the thing. While Baker Miller Pink was a bust, it opened the door to manipulations that are much more precise and highly successful.
Section 1. The Fast Food Double Bind. So let's pivot to a real-world application of chromatic engineering that you and I interact with constantly. We're talking about the highly calculated spaces of the fast food industry. You've definitely noticed the overwhelming ubiquity of red and yellow in these mega brands, right? Well, that is absolutely not a coincidence. They aren't just trying to make their logos look cheerful. This is a meticulously documented physiological attack on your autonomic nervous system deployed on a massive global scale.
Let's break down the double bind that hits you the second you walk through those doors. On one side, we have red. Now, the scientific community is still debating whether red genuinely triggers a biological appetite response, or if we've just been culturally conditioned to associate it with meat and fire. But honestly, the result is exactly the same. It induces acute, impulsive cravings. Then, on the other side, we have highly saturated yellow. Sitting right at a wavelength of about 570 to 590 nanometers, it actually acts as a visual irritant. It induces this subtle, subconscious state of anxiety and physical restlessness.
When fast food chains combine these two colors in their dining rooms, they are manipulating you in 3 incredibly specific ways. First, the red forces you to act impulsively, so you order more food. Second, the combination literally accelerates your metabolism, meaning you eat that food faster. And third, the yellow induces just enough visual anxiety that the moment you swallow your last bite, you unconsciously want to leave to escape the irritating environment. You order more, you eat faster, you vacate quickly. They've successfully engineered rapid table turnover without you ever realizing your biology was hijacked.
Section 2. Hostile restrooms and blue lights.
From the bustling fast food dining room, we're going to move to a much darker, much more punitive application of color engineering. You've probably started seeing these in public spaces, retail bathrooms, and gas stations. They're known as dono blue lights. It's this high-intensity, monochromatic blue light peaking right around 470 nanometers. And the clinical premise behind this lighting is brutally simple. Human blood returning to the heart is rich in oxygen-depleted hemoglobin, and that hemoglobin absorbs blue light. So if you flood a room with intense blue light, the visual contrast on the skin is totally obliterated. Your superficial veins become virtually invisible. The stated goal here, to theoretically stop intravenous drug use in public stalls by making it impossible for users to find a vein.
But the reality of this intervention is quietly outrageous. Comprehensive public health research proves that this doesn't deter drug use at all. Because let's be real, a person experiencing acute withdrawal isn't going to just walk away because the lighting in the bathroom is bad. Instead, this color engineering merely forces desperate individuals into incredibly dangerous injection methods. Because they can't see, users resort to blind punctures. They repeatedly jab themselves, which drastically increases deep tissue abscesses and infections. And even worse, it forces them to aim for deep vein injections, like the femoral vein in the groin, which carries catastrophic risks of fatal overdose and deep vein thrombosis.
Because of these horrific, unintended consequences, public health experts now actually classify this specific blue lighting as a form of symbolic violence. It is a hostile architectural feature that offers absolutely zero therapeutic solution. It's explicitly designed to displace vulnerable people from clean, semi-private spaces and push them into highly unsafe outdoor areas. And it does this while fostering a terrifying sense of internalized oppression among the users who feel they deserve this kind of hostility. It is literally color being used as a weapon.
Section 3. Rewiring your brain in casinos.
If you want to see the absolute peak of sensory manipulation, a place where light bypasses your conscious mind entirely, you have to look at the invisible architecture of a casino floor. When you enter the lounges or the seating areas, you're bathed in this warm, amber lighting, right around 2700 Kelvin. It mimics firelight. It triggers a parasympathetic wind-down, making you feel safe, comfortable, and willing to just hang out. But the second you step onto the main slot floors, you are hit with high-intensity blue-enriched LEDs at 480 nanometers. And let me tell you, this isn't just to make the machines look pretty. This blue light triggers intense sympathetic activation and visual arousal.
And the neurobiology behind this is just staggering. That specific 480 nanometer blue light penetrates your eye and targets specialized cells called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or IPRGCs for short. These cells contain a photopigment called melanopsin. Now here's the crazy part. These cells do not contribute to your vision at all. Instead, they act as a direct backdoor into your brain. When that blue light hits them, signals travel straight to your emotional regulation centers. Specifically, it suppresses activity in your amygdala, which is the exact region of your brain responsible for processing fear, evaluating threats, and sounding the alarm when you are in danger.
So what exactly happens when you suppress a gambler's fear center? You get this terrifying mathematical drop. Researchers using computational psychology discovered that under this blue-enriched casino lighting, a human being's loss aversion coefficient drops by an average of 0.43. Now, loss aversion is just our natural survival instinct. It's the reason why losing $100 feels way worse than winning $100 feels good. But the blue light literally alters your brain chemistry to blunt that pain. It makes losing your hard-earned money feel significantly less painful, which drastically increases your tolerance for high-risk betting.
To really bring this home, let's look at the gender data from that study. Women naturally exhibit much higher loss aversion than men. Under normal lighting, a woman typically needs a potential win of $204 just to justify risking a $100 loss. She demands basically 2-to-1 odds in her favor to feel safe. But if you place that exact same woman under blue LED casino lighting, her risk sensitivity plummets. Suddenly she will accept much riskier, near-even odds, making bets she would normally walk right away from. All because the color of the light bulb changed. It's wild.
And casinos definitely don't stop there. By flooding the environment with this blue light, they create what chronobiologists call a circadian vacuum. Because there are no windows and no clocks, this constant artificial light suppresses your salivary melatonin onset by up to 90 minutes. Melatonin is the hormone that makes you feel tired. So by suppressing it, casinos are putting players into a state of chronic cognitive dissociation. You completely lose track of planetary time, biological fatigue, and your basic need to sleep, allowing you to just happily keep feeding money into a machine hours past your natural physical limits.
Section 4. Who controls your feelings?
We've moved from the failed pink walls of a prison cell to the calculated red and yellow assault of your local fast food chain, to the violently hostile blue lights of public restrooms, all the way down to the literal neurobiological rewiring of a casino floor. Modern humans spend roughly 90% of their time indoors, which means we are constantly subjected to these invisible, unregulated physiological manipulations. The very color of the light hitting your eye right now could be shifting your hormones, altering your risk appraisal, and dictating your comfort level. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, unresolved thought. If the spaces around you are engineered to control how you feel, think, and behave, how much of what you experience every single day is actually yours?